video gives you the overview of Forge APIs related to BIM 360 docs. This is based on the session I presented at the Forge Developer Conference in June 2016. And title of the presentation is Extend BIM 360 Docs with the Issue APIs. And my name is Mikako Harada. I'm from Autodesk Developer Technical Services team. In this video, I'm going to cover the first half of the presentation, which is about the overview of API for BIM 360 docs, which I showed in orange subtitle. And Galia was my co-presenter at the conference, and she was covering the issue APIs. But she will probably provide issue APIs with some other time. So again, in this recording, I'm going to cover only the overview of APIs for BIM 360 docs. The goal of the session is to give a preview of APIs for BIM 360 docs. We are going to give you the overview of API structure and then design. These are for you to get ready for the beta when it becomes available. At this moment, we are hoping that the public beta will be available later this summer. Agenda. I'm going to start from the very quick, super quick overview of BIM 360 docs product side. And I'm thinking that there may be developers who may be less familiar with BIM 360 docs as a product. So I'll give you a very quick overview. I then talk about APIs. We'll give you the overview of APIs, followed by a little bit more detail about the data management APIs. And again, issue API is a topic that we covered during the DevCon, but in this specific recording, I'm going to skip it. BIM 360 docs product API, product overview. So I'm going to switch to the product at this point. One moment. So this is the UI, basic UI for BIM 360 docs. Right next to this, the product name, you see the name here. This is the name of the project. And here you have two choices of the view. Right now I'm showing a list view, which gives you the list of document names and file names, etc. So the file name can be, for instance, in case of Revit, one Revit file may have a multiple sheets or documents, and so these are listed here. In this example, I uploaded two Revit files, and resulting to more than several the views or documentations. You can also switch the view to thumbnail view. In this way, you can see what kind of document we have within a given file more clearly. If you look at the left side panel, you see plan and shop drawings. These are fixed folders, and if you upload your files into the plan folder, just like we are doing right now, then the docs will automatically view the sheets by each sheet. So if you have a Revit file with, let's say, 5 views, it will create 5 different documentations. And same idea here, shop drawing. And we can also have different file structures here. This will be the same as our very familiar normal file structures, it doesn't really do the automatic documentation, the dividing by the views and things like that will not happen with these folders. So if you want to look at the model itself, so this is a list of the documents. If you want to see only the 3D view, then you can click on the 3D, the name of the document, then here you go. As you can see the each document like this. So once you are in this mode, you can look at the models by rotating or zoom in out. And here you see some gadget you can control. So this is orbit, this is span. You can also see a zoom in and out and work. And this is a section analysis. For instance, if you want to add a Z-plane here, then you can actually use this by UI to see where you want to cut your sections. And these are the markups. And this is a model browser. If you click on this, you see the model parts by categories. So for instance, if you want to click on walls, you see only the walls here. And this one is a properties. While you are open with this property panel, then if you click on, let's say, this roof, then you can see the metadata associated to this specific data. There's also another icon here. If you click on this, then you'll see the band of thumbnails. This way, you can go back and forth between different views. For instance, let's click on this. Then you see the elevation and then sections like this with some markup on it. And if you can also go to the next document by clicking here. As you can see, this thumbnail is moved here. So this is the super duper quick the demo of the product. Now I want to go back to the slide. Okay, so this is the product demos, and now as you can see that the BIM 360 Docs looks very simple. So why is this so important? So the docs are important because we consider that docs as a data at the center. So for instance, many of you probably are aware that the BIM 360 product is a collection of various web services. For instance, we have a group, which is for coordinating among different disciplines. And layout is for the field layout process during the construction. And then field is for issues and tasks tracking, for quality and safety and commissioning. And then plan is for project working planning as well. So we are considering that in future we want to have a seamless, the unified integration for across those BIM 360 product lines. So now the APIs. So BIM 360 Docs API doesn't mean that we have a API specific to BIM 360 Docs. In fact, it's actually a collection of Forge APIs. And in other words, that the BIM 360 doc is actually a very good example of Autodesk using Forge APIs internally. So for instance, authentication or OAuth is used to sign or to get the credentials about users or the applications. And BIM 360 API, which is specific to BIM 360, and it manages accounts. And this one is to create a project and get information about the project or accounts. Also about the members, peoples in the project. And data management API. This is about the data stored in the docs. So the view, the basic UI will list the views and then file names. And then those are the APIs. We can use the data management APIs. And once you get to a specific document, then we can use a model derivative API and also viewer to view it. We also have a special APIs such as issue APIs and markup, etc. will be also in the pipeline. So for instance, authentication method for BIM 360 docs will have two types of authentications. One is OAuth to two-legged and the other one is three-legged. Two-legged one is to connect application or for the integrations with other web services such as partner web services. And three-legged is more about the user context. So each user will be logging in and the data accessible data will be for user only. It redirects to account.autodesk.com and then pops up the UIs for the same UI that Autodesk is using. So the data management API, let's take a look at it now. So data management API is a document management API which is common across the Autodesk product. For instance, A360, Fusion Lifecycle, BIM 360 Docs, and also a consumer products such as Tinkercad will be using exactly the same APIs. You can use the same API to access but depending on the data or the product you are using, you may be getting different the additional information there. And data management API has 4 service groups: project service, data service, object storage service, which is also called OSS, and then schema services. For instance, the project service, for instance, it has more resources such as the hubs and the project and etc. And one thing which is common across various Forge API is that it uses JSON API as a starting point. So JSON API is a very strict format, and it gives you additional to make your the digging of the data much easier. So for instance, here you can see the image with the JSON API links, data, etc. Whenever you are using data management APIs, you will see exactly the same format of the data returned from your queries. So let's take a look at the data management API in action. And I wrote a very simple program called test harness, and let's use that to drill down the data to give you the idea how the data management is structured. I'm going to switch to the demo. Okay, so this is my very simple test harness program. You can see on the right side here, you see the service groups here, and then resources for each service group. And then on the left side, upper left side, the request and response will be shown here. And underneath here, tree view will show you the response in tree view. And then on the right side, it will list the parameters you will need to enter. So let's start from the project and hubs. This will give you the hubs you have access to. So this is a tree view in JSON format. So you will see JSON API, links, self links, and then data. So here you see the type hubs and the ID. And you can see the attribute Forge DMConf. This is the name of the hubs. You can see, you can explore more. And for instance, if you want to have the project listed, you can use project here. In this case, you need this hub ID, so you can copy this one to here and run. Then it gives you the project. So this is a project called Forge DM Sample Project. This is a project I'm using. You see the name here. So this is a correct project, and this is the ID. And for instance, if you want to explore the data in this project, so let's say contents, then what you need is you need a project ID, and then you also need a folder ID, and I already explored this. First, we want to have a root folder. So root folder ID you can get from here. So you'll copy it here. And then if you run this, you should be able to see the contents of the root folder. And you can see the 5 data. And this is because there is one hidden files, but for the purpose of this demo, we can just check what kind of folder we have. So folders, this is a plan. So the first here in your left, you see the plan. So this is the plan we are interested in. So this is the ID. You can move this one here. Then you can do the same thing, called the contents of the folder. So now we are looking into the folder under plans. So in this, we have data, 8 data, and then also here, you can see the name of the data. So this one shows the RAC basic sample project here. The file type RVT, so this one shows Revit. And then if we want to see the relationship, you will see the thumbnails and the derivatives. So this is a derivative data of this Revit file. Okay. And you want to put it here. Now we want to look at the model view. So as you can see, this is Revit models here. And if you want to see these Revit models, as you can see, we could access to the same data. This is through the UI, and this is through the APIs. Okay. Okay, so that was a very quick drill down of the data using a data management API. And okay, so to learn more, there are other recording available together with this recording. And my suggestion, I listed this here suggestions. And if, for instance, if you would like to know more about model derivatives, you can refer to the last one, like free your design data. And if you want to know more about the DM basics, data management basics, you can use this collaborating with design data. This one was done by Augusto, and free your data was done by Adam and then Shia. So I'm listing this one as a example, other learning resources. So to summarize, I talked about BIM 360 docs. First, I gave you a very quick overview about the product, followed by the overview of the API and data management APIs. And I'm hoping that once again, this will be released as a public beta later this summer. So thank you very much for, please stay tuned for additional information, especially when the beta is ready. I want you to jump onto the development. And in the meantime, as I mentioned, A360 BIM 360 docs will be using exactly the same API. So I strongly encourage you to start playing with the A360 side using data management model derivative API, so that when docs API side is ready, you can jump onto the development. So once again, thank you very much. Bye.